Hello Resident Evil fans, I just wanted to thank you real quick for checking out this video series. For now, it's easily the best performing series on the entire channel. Just wanted to explain some things real quick because some of you might be confused when you see this video pop up on your feeds. If you notice, part 6 of this timeline that originally contained the Resident Evil 7 portion is a little different now. I completely sliced out the Resident Evil 7 portion, changed the title, changed the thumbnail. Now it only covers Heavenly Island and Vendetta, which I may update in the future. Couple reasons I did this. For starters, when I first uploaded the Resident Evil 7 portion previously, I had some audio issues that I couldn't quite get fixed. Something got corrupted when it was all rendering, couldn't fix it. Also, the visual quality, when I first recorded that footage, it was off of PS4 running on PlayStation VR, and if you know PlayStation VR on console, it basically takes the resolution, cuts it in half to like 720p, and the frame rate's like 30 FPS max, so overall VR games look a little crappy, run a little crappy. Now I'm using footage running off of PS5, non-VR, looks as good as it possibly can. But most importantly, with the release of Resident Evil Village, there's a ton of story details that got added to link up better with Resident Evil 7. So much, in fact, that it just warranted a whole new video. And if you've already seen the original version of the video, don't worry, this is a completely brand new experience. I promise you it's nothing like the first video. Forget the old one, doesn't exist. This one's way better, way higher quality, way more story detail. But anyways, thank you for your time at the beginning of this video. Pop some popcorn, sit back, and enjoy the presentation. The story of Resident Evil doesn't begin with the T-Virus, the Umbrella Corporation, or even Umbrella co-founder Oswald Spencer's twisted vision of humanity's future. Its history stretches back to ancient times with a mysterious civilization, whose existence and details have been lost to time. They created their society deep within the mountains of Eastern Europe and built a ceremony site to worship a mysterious black god. Over time, the ancient civilization vanished, and new settlers in the area formed a powerful kingdom and underground city, ruled by 4 kings. 4 kings said to have been gifted with monstrous abilities, gifts from this black god. During the late medieval period, the kingdom became a haven for those thrown away by their homelands, heretics and pagans shunned from society, and the bloodline of the 4 kings, their 4 houses, ruled each corner of the kingdom together. Over the centuries, the kingdom faded into history, and by the late 1800s, all that remained of it was a village in the mountains, surrounded by ruins and castles. In the early 1900s, a young woman lived in the village named Miranda. A young woman that would indirectly have a profound impact on the rest of the world. In June of 1909, Miranda became a mother, giving birth to a baby girl that she named Ava. But an unbearable tragedy would soon descend upon her peaceful life. During the final moments of the First World War, the influenza pandemic that came to be known as the Spanish flu spread through the world, resulting in millions of deaths. Even Miranda's village felt its reach. The virus descended upon her home, and villagers fell victim to its deadly embrace. The middle of the village became a massive graveyard, and so many lives were claimed that even areas immediately outside the village were converted into burial grounds. In August of 1919, Miranda's young daughter Ava fell victim to the Spanish flu and lost her life. She was buried in the village with her tombstone reading, "May you slumber for only a short while." Miranda was beyond consolation and decided that without her daughter, she could no longer continue living. She wandered away from the village and discovered a cave. Miranda entered it alone and traveled deep inside to take her own life. Instead of her end, inside the cave she would find salvation. Before her stood the black god that the ancient civilization once located in the village worshipped. In reality, the black god was an enormous fungal organism, a super colony of multiple merged parasites creating their own living ecosystem, capable of infecting other living creatures with various results. Miranda was amazed at the discovery of this being and touched a large black mass growing from its body. Immediately she experienced the memories of thousands simultaneously. The roots of the organism had been reaching just under the surface since ancient times, absorbing the bodies of the recently deceased and assimilating them into itself. As if it were a biological computer, it copied the consciousness and genetic makeup of its victims, storing them within its natural records. One of the victims Miranda could feel was her daughter Ava, whose body was absorbed soon after her burial. If a copy of Ava lived inside the organism, Miranda believed that she could bring her daughter back into the world of the living. Her encounter in the cave imbued her with an immense library of knowledge, and she dedicated herself to the goal of resurrecting her daughter by creating a superhuman host for the copy of Ava to manifest herself in. Miranda called the organism the Mold, and became obsessed with studying its capabilities. During her studies, she realized that her own infection had stopped her aging and gifted her with many abilities, such as the ability to alter her appearance. In one of her experiments, she created a new life form she believed could accelerate her goals. Miranda exposed a parasitic nematode, a type of roundworm, to the mold, allowed it to assimilate into the source, and it produced a small replica of itself. Miranda called these miniature replicas the Kadu, a gift she would bestow upon her people in the hopes of finding the perfect vessel for Ava, either through injecting fluid from the Kadu into her subjects or by implanting the organism directly. Miranda re-emerged in the village and presented herself as a prophet of the Black God, bringing salvation and miracles to a desperate population. She preached the sermons at the local church and convinced the sick villagers to receive injections of her miraculous cures, a gift granted to them by the mercy of the Black God. The mold injections resulted in some of the villagers and their children healing from sickness, and its mind-altering properties connected them to Miranda and subtly convinced them that she was their godly protector, the divine Mother Miranda. But the magical healing touch of Mother Miranda wouldn't last. What began as hope during a time of great sickness turned into terror. Much of her test subjects ultimately perished from the infection, but in others, the mold exposure from the Kadu resulted in physical mutations for some. The base mutation being a result of the host and parasite rejecting one another due to low genetic compatibility. These villagers found themselves enveloped by mold and eventually emerged as mindless feral creatures with low mental capacity, high aggression, and an animalistic carnivorous hunger. They came to be known as Lichen. Mother Miranda cast the violent Lichen villagers out into an old stronghold, away from surviving villagers. Here they made their den in the remains of a medieval fort, occasionally raiding the village to kill livestock and feed. Once again, Mother Miranda was praised for protecting her villagers, but she only desired to keep them alive as test subjects, to continue her experimentation. She needed to keep the mold strength growing in order to have the power to resurrect her daughter, and the search for a perfect candidate body continued. As the years passed, she tracked the ancestry of the 4 mutated kings that once ruled the previous kingdom, and was able to identify the ones who inherited the royal bloodlines of the 4 houses. Perhaps their unique genetic histories would make for a perfect vessel. Each candidate was implanted with an infection, and results were more acceptable. None became Lichen, and each one was granted different gifts, with some being more useful than others. However, none of the 4 fit Mother Miranda's description of the perfect vessel for Ava's return. But they would serve a purpose. Miranda recognized their ancient royal bloodline and decided to form a council that would help her rule over the villagers. Each of these new 4 lords were given dominion of a region just outside the village to maintain control, and were each expected to continue her experiments with the mold. Experiments that would inspire a future wave of tragedies. In the 1950s, a young Oswell Spencer, co-founder of the eventual Umbrella Corporation, was a simple university student training to be a physician, alongside fellow student Edward Ashford and Dr. James Marcus. Taking a break from his studies, Spencer set out on a hiking trip across Eastern Europe, but he was inexperienced hiking in its harsh, snowy environment. He became lost and collapsed from exhaustion in the wilderness of the mountains, where a local stranger discovered him, Mother Miranda. She rescued him and brought him to the village to recover, possibly with the idea of using him as another experimentation victim. But what Spencer found in the village fascinated him, and Mother Miranda found within him a fellow researcher. Where many would see a village being ruled by monsters with an iron fist, Spencer saw possibility. When Spencer learned of the mold and its ability to mutate humans, absorb life forms, and replicate them, he was amazed and became a student of Miranda to learn as much as he could. In the village, he began forming his ideas of a future where mankind could be pushed to evolve into a higher life form, with himself as its perfect specimen. He traded ideas back and forth with Miranda, but in time Spencer realized he would have to separate himself from her. Though he respected her greatly and would forever see himself as her student, their ideologies and goals were too different. Miranda was a mother suffering from the loss of her child. She simply wanted to resurrect her, while Spencer had plans for mankind as a whole. With a heartfelt goodbye, he left the village and returned to his studies, a changed man. After his research into the mold's capabilities was completed, Spencer determined that a virus would be a more viable method of advancing humanity, and formed a circle of like-minded researchers, including Ashford and Marcus. In the late 1960s, Spencer and Dr. Marcus analyzed stories from West Africa, near the region of Kijuju, depicting tales of a tribesman that became a god king, from consuming what was believed to be a toxic flower. In the legend, future kings would have to pass a series of trials, including surviving the consumption of the flower. Dr. Marcus believed that if these legends were true, a mutagenic virus could be involved. Exactly what Spencer and his associates were looking for. He traveled to Africa with his protege and skilled student, Dr. Brandon Bailey. Together they followed the legends of the local tribes and discovered the remains of the ancient Ndapaya kingdom, the source of the God King stories. And within those ruins they discovered a cave where a species of flower dubbed the Stairway of the Sun grew. Marcus found that the flowers did in fact contain a set of inactive junk DNA, but the environmental conditions inside the cave triggered the active production of a virus. With this new information in hand, Marcus relayed the information back to Spencer, and research into what would eventually result in the creation of the T-Virus began. Spencer officially founded his new company, the Umbrella Corporation, in 1968, and excitedly wrote to Mother Miranda with the news of their findings in Africa. He also decided to honor her with the creation of the company logo, inspired by the symbol used in the village, the symbol that connected the four noble houses of the four kings as one. As one of Umbrella's first projects, they built a research facility underground in Africa to study the flowers further. Dr. Marcus's protege, Brandon Bailey, was placed in charge of Umbrella's Africa facility, and over the decades the facility grew immensely larger. He kept in touch with Dr. Marcus, sharing his findings, and in the late 1980s discovered how to trigger viral production from the flower. Around that time, he also discovered that Dr. Marcus tragically died, actually having been murdered to further cement Spencer's own influence over Umbrella. From that day on, Bailey was a broken, bitter man. His mentor and main contact within Umbrella was gone, yet he continued his research. After the Raccoon City outbreak in 1998, Bailey could see that Umbrella was finished. Umbrella's involvement would never be kept secret with such an immense disaster. It was time to leave the Africa facility. He knew how Umbrella operated, and in November 1998, a panicked Spencer, attempting to hide evidence, ordered the Africa facility closed, and the remaining researchers were executed. Bailey was believed to be among the dead, but he actually escaped with his life and sought a new path for himself. He was enraged that his life was spent locked away in Umbrella's Africa research facility for nothing, and decided to use his talents elsewhere. With the knowledge he cultivated over the years, being familiar with all of Umbrella's allies and enemies, he formed his own group. A group that would benefit from Umbrella's secrets without having to answer to Spencer. Dr. Bailey's new syndicate came to be known as the Connections. The details of the Connections' inner workings were a closely guarded secret, and their existence as a shadowy organization was only heard of in whispers. With Bailey's leadership, the Connections rose as one of the world's most dangerous criminal empires, attaining much of their funding from money laundering, assassinations, drug, weapons trafficking, funds that supported its own creation of bioweapons to sell to the highest bidder. Many believe that Dr. Brandon Bailey was ultimately murdered by Umbrella or a rival organization, but his fate remains a mystery. With Bailey's knowledge, the Connections were aware of Mother Miranda and her research with the mold. In the year 2000, the Connections contacted her and offered assistance in collaborating with her. She saw this as an opportunity to learn more about the possibility of resurrecting her daughter. The Connections saw it as an opportunity to create the ultimate bioweapon, a mutual benefit. Mother Miranda provided them with a sample of the mold from the village and embryonic DNA from her own daughter Ava. Samples in hand, the Connections worked in conjunction with Albert Wesker and his HCF, his Hive Capture Force, to determine how the project would move forward. It was determined that the goal of the project would be to create a human bioweapon that could brainwash enemy combatants in a battlefield. By 2003, Umbrella collapsed completely and was legally dissolved after decades of operation. With Umbrella dismantled, their research was completely unprotected and pillaged by rival companies and mercenary groups seeking to establish their own supremacy in the bioweapons black market. In 2004, the Terra Grigia panic exposed the world to its new reality, when illegal bioweapons became public knowledge. Nowhere was truly safe. Mother Miranda's intentions began with the unconditional love of a mother, but almost a century later, her legacy resulted in a world filled with fear, from the rise of bioterror. As the Connections continued their research into the mold, the threat of bioterror continued to grow. By late 2005, the United Nations took command of the BSAA in order to combat bioweapons worldwide more effectively, with Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine being two of their most prominent members. In 2006, Oswald Spencer was killed by Albert Wesker, cutting off the head of Umbrella, although the possibility still existed that remnants of his old Umbrella were still active in the illegal bioweapons market. In 2007, the public face of Umbrella was reborn in order to face the challenges of this new war on terror. Former Umbrella employees trusted by the government and employees that knew nothing of the company's darker secrets reformed the American division of Umbrella into a new Umbrella Corporation, also known as Blue Umbrella. Instead of choosing a new name, they kept the original Umbrella name to create a trust with the public. Their mission was to atone for the horrible crimes Umbrella committed and developed advanced means to combat bioweapons. According to the rules imposed on Blue Umbrella by the UN, they were forbidden from re-establishing the Umbrella Security Services. Any combat duties were to be handled by private military contractors or the BSAA, working in conjunction with Blue Umbrella technology. Over the years, Blue Umbrella developed a proven track record of being effective and provided bioweapon data to the BSAA. Prior to the year 2014, the Connections experiments with the mold were starting to show results. The first viable bioweapons were created by editing the genome of human female embryos, and after birth, their age was accelerated so they would appear as 10-year-old girls. A bioweapon created in the image of a human child would make it easier for them to infiltrate areas posing as lost children or refugees. These bioweapons were labeled as the D-Type series. A total of 8 girls were created, and the Connections were mostly unhappy with the results. None of them survived. 3 were killed in a murder-suicide, 1 was killed by her creators after being deemed a failure, and the other 4 died of infection or natural causes. After the failure of the D-Type series, Mother Miranda was contacted, and she was invited to personally oversee the development of their next project, the E-Series. With Miranda's help, the Connections successfully created Project E001. Just like the others, the girl was aged genetically to 10 years old, and her abilities were tested with amazing rates of success. She was named Eveline, nicknamed Evie for short. To keep her under control, they imprinted a sense of family inside Evie and assigned 2 handlers to watch over her personal human connections: Alan Droney, a special agent with the Connections, and Mia Winters, a young woman that was employed with the Connections as a researcher in 2010. In Eveline's mind, Mia was imprinted as her mother figure and looked at her as her primary caretaker. Eveline's ability to affect the human mind and her creation and control over the mold would render all other bioweapons and traditional weapons completely ineffective. After her own examinations, Mother Miranda decided that Eveline couldn't be the perfect vessel that she was searching for, and she returned to her village. Word of Eveline's creation spread throughout the black markets, and Blue Umbrella and BSAA became aware of her existence. Sometime in 2014, the BSAA discovered where Evie was being kept, inside the Connections Munich, Germany facility, but the mission was a total failure, a fact that was quickly covered up to avoid embarrassing the BSAA. As a result, the Connections quickly evacuated the facility and planned to ship Evie across the ocean to their lab in Central America. In October 2014, the Connections chartered a cargo ship called the Annabelle. Mia and Alan posed as Evie's parental guardians and were responsible for her safe arrival. Before leaving, Mia sent a message to her husband, a systems engineer living in Los Angeles named Ethan Winters. Ethan had no idea about her true career as a handler for the Connections, and she supplied the cover story of a babysitting job, leading to the events of Resident Evil 7, Biohazard.
Hey baby! I just wanted to send a quick hello and I love you. Oh, good news! I'm gonna be coming home soon. Yay! I cannot wait to be done with this babysitting job and come home to my loving husband. I miss you. Oh, I gotta get back to work. I love you, Ethan. I miss you so much. I'm sending tons of kisses. Bye, baby.
On October 5th, 2014, the Annabelle found itself traveling through an area in the Gulf of Mexico that was being battered by a hurricane. The powerful storm was devastating the area inland over Louisiana, and powerful winds sent strong waves into the ship's path. Since much of the crew was distracted by the storm, Evie took the opportunity to rebel against her handlers and infected Alan with the mold before running away, deep into the ship. Using her powers away from the perfect conditions in the laboratory and regular injections the staff used on her caused Evie to become unstable, and she began vomiting excessive amounts of mold far beyond her body mass. The mold spread through the ship quickly and infected the crew. Since Mia was imprinted as Evie's mother figure, she wasn't attacked, and Alan sent Mia to stop her.
She didn't attack you?
It's part of her imprinting protocol. I can't believe this is happening.
Here. Take it. It has her tissue samples. You find her. You fix this.
Okay, Evie. Where are you?
Mia began tracking Evie through the ship, following the trail of mold, and discovered the horrific consequences of her escape. Finding survivors was less and less likely, since any that had come into contact with the mold were already absorbed and regurgitated as mindless mold creatures. Evie was rampaging around the ship, converting more victims into mold, and Mia made it her priority to stop her before it was too late. Alan's infection was getting worse, and he was running out of time, while Evie toyed with her as any child would.
Are you mad at me, Mommy?
No, Evie. I'm not mad. Wait. What did you call me?
I don't want to live at the lab anymore. I want a house. And I want you to be my mommy.
Okay, Evie. I'll be your mommy. Just come back with me. Right now. Okay? Where are you, Evie?
She trusts you. That little bitch, she never trusted. Okay, wait. Evie, no, Evie, Evie!
Alan, listen!
I didn't mean to call you that.
She's
Evie,
trying to take control! You have to fight her! Eveline, stop! Stop right now!
Don't touch me, don't!
It was too late for Alan, and Mia found herself covered in the same mold. Coming into contact with it ensured that Evie would be able to influence her soon enough, and if she wanted her dead, the girl could immediately end her life. Mia's thoughts rushed to her husband Ethan. If she died on the ship, he would never know what happened to her, and she decided to send him one last desperate message, begging him to forget about her.
Ethan. You were right. I did lie to you. I shouldn't have. All I can say is that if you get this, stay away. Forget that you ever knew me. Have a good life.
We'll be together forever.
The ship was torn apart in the storm. Its remains and many of the crew's bodies washed up on the shore around the former mining town of Dulvey, Louisiana. A local family, the Bakers, discovered the destroyed tanker outside after the storm, and Jack Baker, the head of the Baker family, brought the washed up and unconscious Mia into his home, along with some of the Connection's equipment from the ship that came with her. He carried her into the family's trailer where she could warm up and recover, and set out to search for more survivors. Evie had also survived the shipwreck, and Jack found the child alone.
And by tomorrow morning, we should be home.
Any news on the damage from the storm?
They haven't said.
Marguerite, open up. Found another one.
I'm coming. Oh. Oh, she's so young.
Yeah, how's our other guest?
Sleeping, poor thing.
Well, I say let him. He'll be okay here for a few days. At least till we can get him into town.
Zoe, go get some fresh clothes from the laundry room, okay? Oh, looks like there's some sort of oil spill or something.
Yes.
Let's get this poor girl some fresh clothes and into a warm bed. We'll put her in Lucas's old room.
Oh, come on, can't you put her somewhere else?
Oh, Lucas, you just hush. You've long outgrown that room. Always wanted to run a bed and breakfast.
You got your big break, didn't you? Get her to bed. I'll put some soup on. Ugh. Good night for soup, don't you think? Excuse me, Lucas.
Evie was placed in the room of Lucas Baker, Jack and Marguerite's son, for the time being. His sister Zoe Baker was responsible for making sure the young girl was warm and had a change of clothes. Unknown to them, the Baker family was falling right into Evie's trap. The connections imprinted Evie's need to be part of a family, and the Bakers would fulfill that role, whether they wanted to or not.
All right, little girl, let's get you cleaned up.
They're mine now.
What?
Evie already infected the Bakers with her mold after being so close to her, and Marguerite's mind was quickly escaping her, replaced by Evie's need to create the rest of her family.
Zoe, come look. Come see her gift. Look at all the pretties my little girl is giving me! Kiss me, lover!
What's the hell? Get to the garage! Get some rope! Go, now!
Oh, get out of my way, Jack! Big girl's got family now, and we're hers!
Oh, woman! Get... Now, don't you make me do something I'll regret.
Stop it!
Don't you worry. It's a whole lot worse than it looks. Cleanliness is next to godliness, and none of us pretty fucking close to meeting him right now. She wants me to do this. I have to show her how to own him. She wants us all to show her our love.
Daddy!
Well, you don't want to disappoint her now, do you? We can't do that.
What are you talking about?
Your new sister, Evie.
Zoe ran for her life. She had no idea what was happening to her family, but knew that Evie was responsible somehow. And her father began chasing her through the house. Lucas was unconscious on the floor until Jack dragged him screaming into his room. Evie's powers were on full display, and Zoe had to escape her home. But the last remaining part of Marguerite's mind regained control just for a moment, enough time to give her daughter a chance to leave.
Zoe!
No.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong.
Mama!
Stay away! Don't touch her! Don't hurt my family!
I don't understand, Mama. What's going on?
Here! Take it! Take it! Go!
Zoe used the opportunity to go get Mia on the way out. In the trailer, she discovered Mia still unconscious and a letter thanking them for saving her. But the letter also served as a warning about Evie with information about creating a serum to counteract the infection. Mia was also holding remains recovered from the shipwreck crucial to creating the serum, remains labeled D005, one of the 8 girls created from the D-type experiments. Even though she had the information to stop Evie, Zoe had no time to act.
I think I fell asleep.
Well, now, look who has decided to join us.
Wake up and smell the shitty coffee, Zoe.
Lucas.
The entire evening felt like a dream to Zoe, as she tried processing everything that happened. As the days passed, Mia and the Bakers fell in and out of Evie's control until her grasp was too strong to resist. Zoe, being completely aware of what Evie was, based on her interactions with Mia and the letter, became resistant to Evie's mind control. Though she was still infected with the mold, her resistance to her mind control powers made the young girl mad.
Hello, sister.
Ethan Winters reported his wife missing and was devastated. In his mind, her complete and sudden disappearance likely meant that she was no longer among the living. The next couple of years brought a dark cloud over Dulvey, Louisiana. People that came near the Baker property were reported missing regularly, and grisly murders went unsolved. To the public, the Baker family home seemed abandoned, and the Bakers were never seen again in town, but constant police investigations turned up nothing. Between October 2014 and August 2017, law enforcement investigations linked at least 20 deaths and disappearances to the region, though the actual number of victims was well over 100. Due to the sheer number of disappearances, the local urban legend of the Dulvey Haunted House was created, but none of the disappearances were supernatural. In reality, Evie's need for a family caused her to command the Bakers to keep adding more numbers to their family, playmates that would be converted into monsters they called the Molded. Victims were brought to the home to be converted or murdered if they weren't cooperative, by the infected Bakers and Mia, while Zoe could only watch helplessly. She attempted to help many escape and find the parts needed to create a serum, but always ended in failure when the Bakers caught them. Lucas, on the other hand, enjoyed a sort of freedom with the mold infection. Although the family was in denial previously, Lucas Baker was a bad seed, sadistic and evil to his core before he was infected. He was incredibly intelligent, a gifted inventor, and won several awards in school for his work, but his intelligence was often used for nefarious purposes, even going as far as inviting his childhood bully Oliver to his room for a made-up birthday party, and trapped him in the attic above the room. He sealed it shut with a remote and left him to die of thirst and starvation. It's unknown whether his family even knew, but Oliver eventually died suffering and his body was left to rot in the attic. What Lucas did with the body, or if the Bakers helped him cover up the murder, remained unknown. After Evie took control of the Baker family, the Connections discovered Evie's whereabouts, and instead of cleaning up the situation, they decided to monitor the Bakers and learn as much as possible about their bioweapon. The Connections needed an inside man, and their agents met with Lucas Baker. They provided him with a serum that severed the mind control connection between him and Evie, in exchange for Lucas pretending to remain under her control and provide the Connections with data. The group worked together with Lucas to create an underground lab deep inside the nearby salt mines, where the mold could further be studied. Lucas enjoyed his time with the Connections, taking satisfaction in his newfound regenerative powers, provided by the mold, while still keeping his mind. He was given the title of lead researcher, much to the dismay of the other researchers with him. Instead of seeking knowledge, Lucas needlessly built elaborate puzzles to torture his victims, forced them to fight each other, and perform pointless autopsies. People that wandered too close to the Baker property were taken, trapped inside a bathtub with no way to escape, and mold was poured over them in a painful process that devoured them. With each victim being reborn as molded creatures, Evie's family was growing quickly. Lucas was a wild card that the Connections researchers constantly came into conflict with, until one day, Lucas decided to lock them in a room with the Molded. All the researchers were devoured, but the Connections continued to let Lucas perform his work and report back. He was their only source of data on Evie and the Bakers. Secretly, Lucas was planning to take the mold for himself, and began scouting for third parties that may be interested in his information. While Lucas spent his time torturing victims and making more monsters for Evie, Mia was forced to engage in Evie's games. It was important to Evie that Mia and the Bakers fully grow into the role of her family, to the point where she even forced Mia to throw a birthday party for Jack and play a game. The goal of Evie's game was to feed Jack's insatiable appetite while defending herself against costumed molded.
I'm wasting away here. So dang good. Not enough. Woo! I don't think I can eat any more.
Mia and Zoe spent years of torture under the cloud of terror brought onto them by Evie and the Bakers. Stories of the Dulvey Haunted House and the public disappearances of the Baker family were becoming well known enough that a production company began scouting the location for an episode of the paranormal documentary series Sewer Gators. On June 1st, 2017, a 3-man team was sent in to scout the location for filming, comprised of the host of Sewer Gators, Peter Walken, producer Andre Sticklin, and their new cameraman, Clancy Jarvis. The Sewer Gators crew believed that they were walking into a simple abandoned property, filled with spooky noises. Instead, they discovered a nightmare when Andre vanished, a nightmare that Clancy Jarvis would suffer the most from.
What's the story, Andre?
Abandoned farmhouse, missing family, foul play suspected. The usual.
So, Hillbilly Joe and his family go missing.
Not hillbillies, the Bakers. Jack and Marguerite Baker. And they were quiet, not backward. A lot of bad rumors about their son, Lucas. Bad seed, apparently.
This would make a great backdrop. Andre, what do you think? Andre? Andre! Andre! Clancy, you see where Andre went? What the hell? All right, new deal. We find Andre and we go. I mean, fuck this show. You first. Need a nice hero shot of me coming down the ladder. So, you first. What do you see? What is it?
Andre had been killed, and Jack Baker knocked out and captured the surviving Sewer Gators while he worked on an entertaining trap in the basement. More victims to either become Lucas's playthings or Evie's family. Jack tied Clancy to a chair in the kitchen with his camera recording everything, taunting him with the very reason that they were there. When Clancy looked up, Peter was just waking up on the floor. With the obvious realization that the Dulvey Haunted House wasn't abandoned, Peter rushed to get Clancy out of his binds and leave as quickly as possible. But the infected Mia was well aware of their escape attempt.
We gotta get the hell out of here. Come on.
Jack Baker's trap was ready, and Mia threw Clancy, the only surviving member of the Sewer Gators crew, into the basement. Jack planned to release an army of molded to go after Clancy, slowly with more and more intensifying frequency. To give Clancy a fighting chance, Jack left weapons for him and manufacturing equipment to help him overcome the odds. After all, the game would be more fun if Clancy had a chance. The door to the basement was rigged to open at dawn. If Clancy could survive the monstrous attacks from the waves of molded, he would have a chance to escape. Even Jack Baker himself decided to join in.
What's the matter, son? You out of ammo? I'm an old man, son. You can't take on an old man? It's only one thing. You're like dick, man. Come on. Stay still for a goddamn minute. You never. Well, now. Oh, Jesus.
Clancy survived the most terrifying night of his life. It was dawn. And although he defeated Jack, the mold infection would inevitably heal his wounds and regenerate him. Clancy rushed out of the basement, but the door didn't lead to escape. It simply led into another part of the house where Marguerite was waiting for him. Clancy escaped one nightmare, only to step right into another one. With his escape, Clancy proved that he was potentially worthy of becoming part of Evie's family.
Sleep well, darling? Our daughter really likes you. She wants you to be her big brother. Oh, now don't get too excited. Don't jump up and down just yet. You want to be part of this family, you gotta eat like family. You eat all this and you can be one of us. Then I'll take those things off and you can go out and play. But you gotta eat all of it.
I'm not hungry. Get me out of here.
You ain't going anywhere until you eat all that! You hear me? You better behave yourself now!
Clancy had to find a way to escape and began exploring the room. He noticed it was filled with all sorts of hidden compartments and discovered that there was a hidden passageway under the bed and a hidden room behind the wall. If Marguerite found him poking around, he would be done for. Every once in a while, she returned to check up on him and ensured that he was eating his food as he devised his escape plan. Eventually, Clancy figured out how to access the room behind the wall where the key to the underground passageway was hidden, but Marguerite was right around the corner.
Clancy, where are you?
Got something for you.
Once again, Clancy escaped the madness of the Bakers, but leaving the house was not an option. Lucas, fully in control of his actions, set up traps in case any escape attempts were made. The underground passageway left Clancy open for Lucas to capture him and enter him into one of his homemade games. Lucas took pleasure in pitting victims against each other. In his first game, Lucas forced Clancy to play a deadly game of blackjack against another victim, a man named Hoffman that wanted nothing more than to go back home to his family. In Lucas's version of blackjack, the loser of every turn would suffer immense consequences.
The loser pays the bet.
What? Wait! You psycho fuck! You really did it!
Hell of a game, right? Clancy! Ooh, that's gonna hurt.
Don't do it, please!
For the first round, the trap that Lucas rigged on both men was built with sharp blades that could easily slice through their fingers. By the second round, Clancy and Hoffman were both in incredible pain from losing several fingers. Lucas's fun was just beginning, and the second trap was infused with increasing amounts of electricity.
Hoffman!
God, why?
Looks like Hoffman just won himself the consolation prize.
No! You can't be serious. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Don't kill me.
It was an impossible situation, and neither Hoffman nor Clancy could help the other. The game was kill or be killed, with no other alternative, exactly as Lucas had designed it. While Hoffman was unconscious, barely clinging to life, Lucas forced him to continue playing. In the third round, Lucas introduced a spinning wheel covered in sharp knives. With every loss, the knives would spin closer and closer to the loser, and Lucas controlled Hoffman throughout the third round like a marionette, with his limbs attached to the wires above. With his final play, Lucas attempted to cheat, but Clancy outsmarted him, marking Hoffman as Blackjack's ultimate loser.
We gonna play another game, you and me. Oh, ain't life grand?
No! I can't take this anymore! Please! Please, God. Fuck!
Lucas prepared his final ultimate game and reattached Clancy's fingers. In this final game, Lucas prepared an escape room with puzzles. Clancy's goal was to light the cake. If he successfully figured out how to light the happy birthday cake, he could escape with his life, although the puzzles were filled with mini traps of their own, to cause Clancy as much pain as possible first.
I'm calling the game. I'd really like to make it out of this room alive and not die a horrible, painful death. I know. It's a temp title. Take a candle, light it, and put it on the cake. And remember to smile. This party is for you.
What the fuck is this? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, man. No!
Ultimately, Clancy was able to successfully light the birthday cake and discovered Lucas's deception. The game was never meant to be won. Taking the required winding tool from the barrel emptied flammable oil onto the floor, and the cake had an explosive surprise. Clancy was dead. Yet another victim of Evie, the Bakers, and Lucas's sadistic games. But the victims of the Dulvey Haunted House still didn't satisfy Evie's need for a family. Although she saw Mia as her mommy, she still felt tied to no father figure. And an idea blossomed within her. Mia's husband Ethan Winters. If he could be lured to the Baker house, she could make him her daddy, and her family would finally be complete. Against Mia's will, Evie forced her to send an email to Ethan telling him to come get her in Louisiana, and Ethan was shocked to receive it. He immediately made plans to come find his wife. There was finally a chance that she was actually still alive.
Hello?
Hey, it's Ethan.
Oh, hey. You alright? You just disappeared the other night.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. It's Mia. She's not dead, she's alive. She's back.
They found her? How? What happened?
I don't know. Look, I don't know how, but she's back. She's back somehow. Maybe it's a prank, but she wants me to come and get her.
Where is she?
Dulvey, Louisiana.
Dude, it's been 3 years.
I know, but what if it is her? I have to find out what happened.
The day after the message was sent, Mia was able to reclaim her mind just for a moment, and attempted to escape the Baker house, after having a recording meant for Ethan. He had no knowledge of her life with the connections or Evie, and Mia couldn't bear to put Ethan in danger.
But I just want you to know that wasn't me. I don't know what happened. There's so much that you need to know.
There you are! You gave us quite a scare, young lady.
I can't let her catch me again.
She loves you. She wants us to be a family, goddammit.
You! All you have to do is accept her fucking gift!
Mia ran away from Marguerite and hid inside the Baker's old house, next to the main house. The structure was falling apart after it was damaged in the storm, and due to the Baker's infection, Jack was never able to make any repairs. It seemed like there truly was no way out. At this point, Mia had spent 3 years trying to escape with Zoe between bouts of influence under Evie's control, and Marguerite chased her relentlessly, stressing that all Mia had to do was accept Evie's gift and become part of the family. During her escape attempt, Mia found an underground passageway and crawled as far away from Marguerite as she could. Another failed escape attempt.
Where do you think you're going?
Ethan, please help me. Ethan, help me.
Days later, Ethan Winters drove to the location given to him by his wife, eager to find out where she'd been for 3 years. What he found was an empty, desolate area with the seemingly abandoned Baker home in the distance. Just around the corner, he found the empty sewer gator van, its owners doomed to never return for it again. Since he wasn't from the area, Ethan had no idea about any of the local urban legends involving the Dulvey Haunted House, and he had no idea why his wife would possibly be anywhere near here. He ventured onto an area patrolled by Jack Baker, and something clearly wasn't right. Pieces of dead animals were decorated into bizarre monuments. As disturbing as that was, Ethan was on the right track. Just outside the Baker home, he found a purse with Mia's driver's license inside. If his wife was inside that house, nothing would stop him from finding her. The inside of the Baker home was in the worst condition possible. The wood was decaying, spoiled and rotten food was left sitting and infested with roaches. The house was in total disarray, and it seemed truly abandoned. In one of the rooms, he found more pictures of Mia, and one of the sewer gator tapes revealing that there was a hidden passage in that same room. And down below, Ethan discovered the body of Andre, just before locating a small cell with someone inside.
Thank God I found you. It's me. It's Ethan.
Ethan? Ethan?
Are you alright?
You shouldn't be here.
What do you mean? You contacted me.
No, I wouldn't. Did I? Did anyone see you? Did he see you?
Hey, who else is here? What the hell's going on?
Daddy's coming. We need to go.
Daddy?
We need to go now!
Are you gonna tell me what's going on? Baby, you've been gone 3 years.
3 years? Has it really been 3 years?
That message you sent me.
Not me. That wasn't me.
But you did.
I didn't.
Okay, fine. Just tell me what's going on.
I'm telling you everything that I know. We're gonna be a family now that you're here. There's another door here. I'm sure of it.
No, leave me alone!
Mia?
She had referred to somebody as Daddy. Still feeling the effects of Evie's mind control and applying the label Daddy to Jack Baker, the mold and Evie were slowly regaining control, influencing Mia's actions again, until she could no longer resist the young bioweapon clawing her way back into her mind and body.
Mia, wait! Wait!
I can hear her. I
can feel her clawing her way back inside of me. Get out! Leave me alone! I've been bad. I deserve this.
What the fuck are you, Mia?
Leave me!
You really shouldn't have come here.
Who's this?
My name's Zoe. There should be a way out through the attic.
Attic.
Go there. Now.
After the fight with Mia, Zoe Baker called the inside of the house to speak with Ethan. She'd been monitoring him since he arrived on the property. Yet another survivor she could attempt to help, although she'd tried to help many previously. Perhaps Ethan would be the one to escape. Ethan was shaken. He came to this house to find his wife and bring her home. Instead, she attacked him out of control, and he believed he was forced to kill her. But Mia wasn't finished with her husband just yet. The mold infection was healing her wounds, and her mind was lost again.
Ethan, it's okay. It's okay, it's me. I know you didn't mean to hurt me.
You shouldn't have done that! It fucking hurts!
It's my job. Must contain this outbreak. Gonna quit. I promise. Must burn it all down.
Okay, fine.
Your pity.
Welcome to the family, son.
Ethan Winters was dead, but a change had happened in his body that would have a profound impact on those closest to him. Close contact with the mold had already infected him while he was in the Baker house, and his compatibility with the mold resulted in a different reaction to his infection. Instead of succumbing to his injuries, Ethan Winters was absorbed into the mold network and resurrected in a new body, a perfect copy of the previous Ethan Winters, even at a genetic level. His body was the creation of a mold supercolony mimicking human DNA, and features indistinguishable from his original body, all completely unknown to him. As he stepped in and out of consciousness, he witnessed a stranger stapling his hand back on, Zoe Baker. With his new mold regeneration abilities, the hand became usable again while the staples held it together, and for the first time, he met the Bakers and a mysterious old woman.
What the hell?
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. It's time for supper.
Who are all you people? Where's Mia?
Eat it. It's good.
Dumb son bitch wasn't no good if it hit him.
Yes.
Get out the way, Marguerite. Come here, boy. Let's do this.
Shit, he's not eating it, Jack. He's not eating it.
Shut the hell up, Marguerite.
Eat that for him.
Get the hell out of here.
You're a son of a bitch. Oh, I can't believe it. You son of a bitch. He's not eating it. He's not eating it.
God damn it. Oh,
bet it's that cop again.
I'm coming back for you.
The old woman at the table was in fact Evie, no longer in the body of the child, although she could still appear as one in the minds of her victims. Being away from her handlers and the connections was an eventual death sentence. Without receiving the medication they provided, her body aged at 25 times the normal human rate, and her powers were becoming more unstable and difficult to control. In the time she had left, Ethan Winters would be her new father to complete her family, and escape would not be tolerated.
Thought you'd just slip out before dinner was done?
Poor thing. Better now?
All right. Have fun with it, there, boy. I'm gonna come back for you later.
You did good, Ethan.
Zoe, right?
You gotta get out of that house. There might be a way out through the main hall.
All right.
Zoe told Ethan to escape through the main hall, but Jack was still patrolling the area. Near the kitchen, he noticed an entrance to a garage leading outside. It could be his only way out, and as he was preparing to make his exit, it seemed that salvation may have arrived. A police officer was investigating missing persons reports in the area that led him to the Baker home.
Hey, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Now, first, you need to tell me what you're doing out here alone in the middle of the night.
Me? What about you?
No, it's my job. Why don't you do your job and tell me? Answer my questions.
You're not gonna believe me if I told you.
Try me. Hey, put that door back. Put that door back up. Wait!
I'm gonna kill everybody. All right. Ah, shit! Nice car, Ethan. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna take you for a ride.
No, 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 no!
You know?
Do I have your attention, boy? You're about to see something wonderful. Oh, fuck!
Jack Baker was finally down, and Ethan believed he was dead. But the mold was already working on regenerating him while Ethan left the now inaccessible garage to follow Zoe's instructions. She contacted Ethan again with the instructions to leave the house, surprised to hear that he did in fact survive his encounter with Jack. The Bakers were more than prepared for escape attempts, however, considering that Zoe and Mia had repeatedly attempted escape before. They previously locked the main door out of the house with special keys that were hidden in separate locations, and Ethan began his search while the now regenerated Jack stalked him throughout the home. His search even led him to the underground basement filled with mold, the same place that Jack had locked Clancy Jarvis in for an entire evening of terror. On the other side, Ethan discovered a chamber where the police officer's body that he previously met was in the process of becoming molded, and the final confrontation with Jack Baker. Jack's upper half exploded, with no indication that he'd be getting back up. Finally, with all the keys needed to escape, it was time for Ethan to leave the house. And Zoe was impressed with Ethan, the first person to make it this close to an ultimate escape. Her old trailer was just outside where Zoe left some supplies for Ethan, and she contacted him with further instructions. He may have defeated her father, but her mother Marguerite was looking for him now.
You're the first I've ever seen make it this far.
So what is it you need me to do? Is it gonna help me get out of here?
Yes. Now listen carefully, Ethan. My family and our bodies are contaminated. I can't leave the property unless I get it out. And the same goes for Mia.
Is there a way to get it out?
We need the serum. It should clear whatever this stuff is out of the body. As long as you're not too far gone.
Alright, so where is it?
If I knew where one was, I'd already be long gone. But I have a feeling my mother has hidden some inside the old house somewhere.
So if we get this thing, I can help Mia and we can get out of here?
Right. And so can I.
Their only hope was a serum that could cure the mold infection. Without it, Zoe wouldn't be able to leave the property. The risk to the rest of the world was too great, and Evie would surely know. Zoe knew that a cure was possible since she was aware of the equipment that washed ashore with Mia, but Marguerite hid many of the items away so they wouldn't be found. Ethan's search took him to the old house on the Baker property damaged from the storm, the same house Mia tried escaping through previously. What he found was a nightmare scenario, an area infested with enormous hives of mold and mutated insects, intent on killing any intruder. When Marguerite became infected with the mold, one of the abilities she gained was control over mold insects, along with regeneration and superhuman strength and speed like Jack. Luckily, there were enough parts scattered to build a homemade flamethrower to clear out the nests. Deeper inside, Ethan discovered that Mia was still alive, and he demanded answers.
I want some answers.
I know, you're right, and I always wanted to tell you, but I can only remember a little, and the rest is just gone.
Daddy, right? You mind if I borrow Mommy for a little bit? Don't just stand there. Do something!
Ethan, help!
Damn it.
Lucas took Mia and taunted Ethan. He was looking forward to luring him into one of his traps. To Lucas, Ethan was simply another victim, and Mia made excellent bait. Before he could even attempt to track down Lucas, Ethan had to survive the old house and Marguerite.
I told you to stay out of here! Let's get down to business!
Marguerite fell in the hole, but based on his experience with Jack, Ethan knew it wouldn't be over. It was obvious that there was something in the old house she didn't want Ethan to find, in the room just behind her. When he went in, he found the secret she was hiding. It was a briefcase from the Connections, containing the remains of one of the D-Series girls, and instructions to create the serum needed from their bodies. The serum required material from a D-Series head and a D-Series arm, with a viable cranial nerve and peripheral nerve still intact. Zoe believed that her mom had a D-Series head with her somewhere, and the arm could be hidden away somewhere in the house. He had to keep searching, but Marguerite was still alive. The search would be dangerous to continue if she was still a threat.
What the fuck? Well, that's special.
Don't look up!
Marguerite was destroyed, out of the way, and the lantern she carried was used to keep a door shut inside the old house that she didn't want anyone entering. With the lantern in hand, Ethan balanced the weight, keeping the door sealed, and found a child's playroom inside, with toys scattered everywhere, old dolls and drawings that Evie had done depicting her new mold family, and the shipwreck that she came from. Hidden away in the back of the room, behind a wall, was a small chamber holding the mummified remains of multiple people combined into the image of a young girl. But the arms seemed different, labeled D002. It was one of the D-Series arms containing viable material for the serum. Originally, the arm belonged to one of the D-Series children named Dahlia. Dahlia was aged to the appearance of a 10-year-old girl like Evie, but died at only 319 days old. Her body deteriorated rapidly. Only her arm remained after it was recovered by Marguerite and presented to Evie as a gift. All Ethan needed to do now was meet Zoe in her trailer and retrieve the D-Series head, so he could create the serum.
Now where the hell are you? We only need the head, and you've got it. This is gonna help me, right?
Hey, buddy. I thought you should know. I decided that Zoe needed a timeout. She and Mia are here with me. And they're keeping each other company.
Just let them both go! What do you need them for?
Nah, that's family business, Ethan, and not your concern, understand? Now, if you want the head, feel free to come by any time and I'll give it to you. But only if you participate in a little, activity I've put together. Just for you.
What activity?
Oh, I know you're excited, but don't worry. It's not going anywhere.
Lucas hid clues to his location on the now molded head of the police officer that was investigating the Baker house earlier. The first step in his game was to find the 2 homemade key cards that would unlock the door to his testing area. Ethan had to return inside the home to find them. One was inside Lucas's old room in the attic where his childhood bully had starved to death years earlier. The other was in the basement workshop, hidden underneath the master bedroom. Using the 2 key cards unlocked the way to Lucas Baker, what he referred to as his party. Lucas had his traps ready to go, and he had no desire for a cure from the mold.
Looky what I've got. You know what this is for? You know what Zoe wants to do with this? Oh, she thinks this thing is special. No, Ethan. That ain't special. This right here is special. You see, Ethan, not everybody wants to turn back the clock. What? What, Eveline? I'm just trying to show him.
I'm just trying to show him not everybody wants to go back to how things were. There's a stupid bitch. She doesn't understand that I don't want to go back to how things were before my father found y'all. Now everybody wants to turn back the clock. So Ethan, Ethan, you'll need that serum. Ooh, baby. You're gonna have to come through me.
Lucas's party was death trap after death trap waiting to happen. He rigged explosives everywhere where the slightest trip would end any wanderer. And the room where Clancy Jarvis previously died was locked by a code that Lucas was oddly willing to provide.
I know. Fucking password, right? Why don't you try 0814? No! 0621. No, it's 0514. Oh, come on. Take a chance. You never know. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock.
Another trick by Lucas that could have ended in Ethan's demise. In one of Lucas's most dangerous traps, he set up the barn area as a molded hunting ground, giving them free rein to roam around and destroy their victims. The only way out of it was an elevator that Lucas filled with fat molded, bloated versions of the molded that stored hot vomit within the insides of their bodies. And the added muscle mass made them much more resilient to gunfire. Although slow-moving, they were extremely dangerous and much more deadly than their standard counterparts. In the room outside the elevator, Lucas left Ethan a clue foreshadowing the upcoming trap. A piece of paper saying "You're next," with a proper code to the door. The paper was attached to the charred remains of Clancy Jarvis, the tragic sewer gator cameraman that never stood a chance. Ethan entered the correct code on the door and entered the same trap that Clancy failed. What Lucas didn't know was that Ethan was prepared. Inside the house earlier in the evening, Ethan found the tape that recorded Clancy's tragic demise, so Ethan knew the solution to Lucas's puzzles beforehand. He also knew not to pull the winder from the barrel, keeping the oil from spilling all over the floor. When Ethan lit the birthday cake and survived, Lucas was furious. His game was ruined.
Motherfucker! You're supposed to die! That was supposed to be for you, goddammit!
Ethan outsmarted Lucas's traps and Lucas ran. He underestimated Ethan's intelligence and hid in the abandoned salt mines underground where his connections lab was located. In his panic, Lucas left behind the D-Series head, the final component needed to create the mold serum. The head was labeled D005, originally another young girl named Dolores. As she was aged up, Dolores lost her mind and killed two other girls, Diana and Danielle, then herself. Lucas's testing grounds led right outside near the boathouse where Zoe and Mia were being kept. Lucas may have survived, but he wasn't Ethan's priority. His only goal was to cure his wife and Zoe and escape this nightmare with them. He found them tied up and prepared the ingredients for Zoe to make the serum. There was enough for 2 people, but before he could inject them, Jack Baker reappeared.
Hurry, and give me the serum ingredients.
Right here. There should be enough, right?
If we make him fast enough. My father and Lucas aren't far away.
He's coming. Daddy's coming.
Good. There's enough for 2. Hey, one of those is mine.
Zoe! Get your ass back to the house! I will deal with you later!
This is getting old, Jack.
I want you to die. You'll be
Jack was constantly regenerating from his injuries no matter how much damage he took, and his transformations were becoming more and more monstrous. Ethan was forced to use one of the 2 serums on Jack's body in order to stop him. Although it worked for the time being, there was only 1 serum left, and not enough material to manufacture another dose. He had to make a difficult choice: save his wife, or save the woman that helped him make it this far.
It's fine. It was foolish thinking I could escape.
But Zoe...
Go! Both of you just go!
Come with us. I'm sure there's someone who can help.
This is not home. Apparently I belong here.
I'll send help.
Don't bother. There won't be anyone left to help!
Zoe was left behind. Ethan promised he would send help for her once they made it back to the civilized world. Mia's mold infection was cleared, and she was freed from Evie's influence, and Ethan asked for answers. He knew Mia was involved somehow, but he wouldn't get his answers. Her memories were still recovering from her recent mold infections, and she couldn't remember the details of what happened before she arrived at the Baker home.
Is that the boat? How the fuck did that get here? You're okay. What the hell was that? What the fuck? What is that? What is that?
Mommy.
Ethan? Ethan!
Ethan! Ethan!
Ethan was taken by the mold, and Mia was back at the ship that got her here. Evie invited Mia in by holding her husband hostage. The bioweapon wanted Mia to remember everything that happened before, and wanted her to remember that she was supposed to be her mommy. It had been 3 years since the wreckage arrived. As Mia made her way through the ship looking for Ethan, she started having flashbacks of the storm and the role she played in Evie's life. She started remembering everything.
Settle down, little girl. Settle down.
Are you remembering?
What? What are you?
You said we could be a family.
What are you talking about?
You said!
Wait!
I'm tired of waiting. Now do you remember?
Yes, Eveline. I remember.
Can we be a family like before?
No, Evie. We can't be a family. We were never a family. We will never be a family.
Then I don't need you anymore.
Ethan. I hope I make it in time.
Liar!
Stop it, Eveline!
Mia's memories were fully returned, and now she knew where Ethan was being kept. She had to find her husband before it was too late, and he was fully absorbed by the mold. While Ethan was being held, he had a revelation. Since his body was actually composed of the mold, he was connected to the biological mold network and the copies of its victims. Somewhere deep inside the mold, a piece of Jack Baker and Zoe's humanity still existed, unable to scrape to the surface and regain control of their bodies in the outside world. And the essence of pre-infection Jack Baker made it clear that the Bakers were in fact the most tragic victims of Evie.
Ethan? Hey, shh. I know. I'm not gonna hurt you. Hell, I never would have if I could have helped it.
What do you mean?
I'm no killer, son. Neither is Marguerite, nor my boy Lucas, or even Zoe here. That girl, Eveline, she did this.
What the hell is she? No, what did she do to you?
She infected us with her gift. That's what she calls it. I found her near a busted out tank in the bayou. Everything changed after that.
So she infects you and then she takes control?
No. Not exactly, son. She just... she forces her way into your mind, your soul. You can't fight back. You are connected to her, and you can't resist the urge to... Oh, you're a different person after that.
Just like Mia. So Mia sent me that message because of Eveline.
Listen, the girl just wants a family of her own. She's the key, all right? You find her, and you stop her. Ethan, free my family. Please.
Mia, how?
There's no time. You have to get out of here and find her. Here, take this.
What? Wait, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Saving your life. You need to go. I won't be able to resist for much longer.
No.
Now go kill that little bitch.
No. Mia! No!
Mia forced Ethan to leave, and she was retaken by Evie. The only hope left now was to stop Evie completely. The area outside the boat led to the abandoned salt mines that Lucas was hiding in. Ethan discovered that Lucas had an underground lab that perhaps held the key to destroying Evie. On the way there, he noticed a helicopter flying by, and communication that Evie was being searched for on a shoot-to-kill mission. It was Blue Umbrella. In July of 2017, they became aware of the mold outbreak after monitoring communications between the Connections and Lucas Baker. Blue Umbrella organized a mission to learn more. They were monitoring the area and were preparing their assault, after they discovered signs that there was some kind of armed conflict. Signs that Ethan was there. The BSAA assigned one of their legendary soldiers, Chris Redfield, to travel with Blue Umbrella and assist in military operations. In the meantime, Ethan traveled through the salt mines, defending himself against an onslaught of molded, as he searched for Lucas's lab and answers to destroy Evie. Just as he expected, Ethan found the lab full of information on Evie's creation, and the experiments the Connections were conducting. His most important discovery was instructions on creating the E-necrotoxin, a serum designed to destroy the cells, specifically of E-type bioweapons, like Evie. To create the serum, Ethan had to place samples of Evie's cells inside the necrotoxin container in front of him, holding a D-series body, the tissue samples that Mia had given him. The E-necrotoxin was complete. Ethan simply had to find Evie and inject her with it to end this nightmare. He just needed to survive a little longer through the mines infested with molded. The mines were an elaborate underground network that wrapped around the entire Baker property. At its end, it connected directly to the chambers where Mia was originally being held when Ethan first arrived. If he could quietly make his way back into the house, he may be able to catch Evie by surprise. But the girl could sense that Ethan was coming, and forced him to hallucinate with past memories. As Ethan got closer, the hallucinations became more intense, when Evie realized that Ethan had the tool to her destruction.
You're gonna be one of us. And then maybe you'll play nicely.
I'm not playing.
No! Get that away from me! Get away! No, you don't! Leave me alone! No! No, no, no!
You.
Why does everyone hate me?
It hurts! It hurts! It hurts! Damn you! Damn you all to hell! Everything fell down.
Playtime's over.
I'm Redfield. I'm glad we found you.
The fuck took you guys so long?
Chris Redfield and his Blue Umbrella companions arrived just in time to provide assistance and clean up the mess left behind. The end of Evie had come, and Ethan's nightmare was over. Blue Umbrella escorted the couple away from the area to give them treatment, but Lucas Baker was still out there hiding underground. He knew Blue Umbrella was coming for him, and he rushed to reach his lab and transfer the data to a third-party buyer. The connections had totally cut him loose and left him alone with no way out.
We've got work to do.
Did we lose him?
No. Ethan Winters has been secured. He's alive and well considering.
And Lucas Baker? Right now, he's our only link to the connections.
He's next on my list.
Operation Lurking Fear was initiated, Blue Umbrella's hunt for Lucas Baker, with Chris Redfield in the lead. Chris's primary objective was to bring in Lucas, but 3 other Blue Umbrella soldiers had recently disappeared attempting to find him. Soldiers that were still alive. Distractions used to keep Chris and the rest of Blue Umbrella at bay, while Lucas made an escape attempt.
I'm getting you out of here.
Leave me. It's too late.
We're both walking out of here.
I got news for you.
What?
That's not gonna happen. Oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Now, you can try and take that off all you want, but I'd advise against. My hand might slip and...
Lucas!
No! Oops. Now, here's the deal, Chris. You don't follow me, and I don't bounce your head off the ceiling. Oh, the same goes for your little soldier friends, too. Adios. Muchachos.
This wasn't the first time Chris lost men under his command, but there was nothing he could have done to save him. He was furious and had no intention of bringing Lucas in alive after what he did. Although he worked alongside Blue Umbrella, he still had his suspicions about the reformed company. They wanted Lucas alive to learn more about the mysterious connections, and Chris questioned whether they simply wanted to recruit him. Blue Umbrella had a proven track record of successes, and the BSAA trusted them, but it would take some time before Chris would be able to have that same level of trust.
Chris, we finished analyzing the data we intercepted from Lucas. It's like we thought. The son of a bitch has been sending status reports on Evie to the connections. Find him and bring him in. We can't let this happen again.
Are you sure you just don't want to recruit him?
Chris, we've been over this.
Maybe the BSAA is convinced. If they weren't, I wouldn't be here. But working with Umbrella is going to take some getting used to on my part.
I know it must be difficult, and to tell the truth, a lot of our members have been with us since even before we reincorporated as a PMC. About all that's left now is the name. Let's just focus on the mission, and maybe we can continue this conversation when you get back, okay?
Sure, whatever.
The underground mine was a labyrinth with multiple pathways and airborne mold. Any normal exposed person wouldn't be able to survive against such threats, but Chris was well equipped by Blue Umbrella with state-of-the-art equipment to counteract multiple pathogens and biological threats. In one of its many branched-off pathways, Chris found the second Blue Umbrella soldier tied up, but he couldn't rescue him without finding the key for the door. The key was found in an area protected by a special kind of molded that could regenerate much faster than its traditional brethren. A new creature that was vulnerable when shot with neuro rounds. Special Blue Umbrella bullets that poison the mold nervous system. After retrieving the key, Chris attempted to rescue the second soldier, a futile endeavor.
Everything's all right now.
That's just what he wants you to think. I'm just the bait, and you fell for it.
What? Oh, shit!
Take the filter. I'm my mask. Hurry!
But you'll die!
I'm dead either way.
Try, Chris. Just watch and learn.
Lucas! No!
The new filter retrieved from his helmet allowed Chris to access another area filled with a thick airborne mold that made it more difficult to see. Breathing any in would surely result in infection. Lucas prepared more explosive traps for Chris, but Chris's night vision helmet allowed him to see the trip lasers easily. The room was filled with bombs, and the third and final missing soldier was waiting in the middle as bait. If Chris could shut down the power to the room, he would have a chance to rescue at least one of his missing men alive.
Hey. Hey, you still with us?
Yeah, it's you. Thanks. I was beginning to think we'd been left behind. I think we can get out this way. Over here. We can get out up through there. Oh, fuck. You gotta be kidding me. Fuck! 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 Get this thing off of me! No!
real tired of playing games.
3 men, Lucas. 3 of my men dead because of you. This ends, and it ends now.
Well, I don't think so. It's about to be 4 dead soldiers in a minute. You're going to fail, then you are going to die.
Not one of the missing men made it out of Lucas's traps alive, and Chris's own life was on a timer. The bomb Lucas attached to his wrist was activated. If Chris didn't find a solution within 10 minutes, he would join them. He rushed his way through the tunnels while his contact within Blue Umbrella, Veronica, quickly searched for a solution. The only way to stop the bomb was to freeze it. Luckily, video logs from the first team sent into the mines showed that liquid nitrogen canisters were in the nearby mining work area. With just a few minutes left, Chris rushed to find the liquid nitrogen in order to save his own life.
Is this really gonna work?
Hurry, Chris!
Here goes nothing. That did it.
Take it off before it thaws and restarts.
Shit!
You alright, Chris?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Lucas was running out of places to hide, and every attempt to stop Chris ended in failure. Veronica determined that a room was located inside the giant drill in the middle of the main room. Accessing the secret room could possibly lead to Lucas's hiding place. Lucas anticipated it might be discovered and filled it with molded before equipping the explosives he set inside. Surely an unwinnable trap that Chris Redfield couldn't escape this time.
Okay, no more, alright? I don't have anything left.
You won't get any sympathy from me, asshole.
I know. I've done terrible things. Horrible things. I killed your man. I tortured them. And I enjoyed every second, soldier boy. Just like I'm going to enjoy watching you burn.
Commencing countdown to detonation.
You hear that? Sounds like time's running out for you. Tick tock, Christopher. Tick tock.
If you're gonna kill me, just kill me. For the love of God, shut the fuck up!
I wish I could stand watching brother death. But I can't. I have an elsewhere to be. Bye-bye.
Lucas had no idea that Chris survived the explosion. Now Chris had the element of surprise on his side, and Lucas was focused on transmitting the data he had in his secret lab. Intercepted communications showed that he started the transfer, and was caught completely off guard when he realized that Chris was still alive and well. This time he had nowhere left to run.
Lucas!
I can't. I don't. No. I don't believe it.
Believe it. It's over.
No. No way.
Just shut up and accept it, Lucas.
Love that, wouldn't you? Oh boy.
So this is what it feels like.
Got a situation down here.
Infection is at critical mass.
Tell me something I don't know.
Oh, I got something for you. Fuck. My head.
Chris, the data transfer is almost complete.
How do I stop it?
You need to find a way to shut down the server. There may be some transformer relays you can...
from you, River. What's the sit rep?
The facility is clear. Even the newer breeds have been neutralized.
Then I'm out of here.
Perimeter wall is up and operational.
Good. Think we did any good here?
Not for them, unfortunately. But the mold is contained. Hopefully, they're Evie's last victims.
Hopefully.
Chris, there's a call for you. You need to take it back at the camp.
All right. I'm on my way.
Zoe Baker was still out there waiting for help. Blue Umbrella began looking for her, but Zoe was starting to lose her mind and body. As punishment for helping Ethan, Evie punished her before her death by causing her body to calcify, forcing her tissue to harden. It would eventually consume and kill her. Blue Umbrella searched for weeks and discovered that the mold had already spread to local wildlife. To keep it from spreading further, they built a large wall around the bayou, creating an exclusion zone, and Blue Umbrella units were sent in to ensure that no creatures could escape, while the cleanup continued. During one of those excursions, 2 Blue Umbrella soldiers found Zoe, barely clinging to life.
Zoe Baker. She's still breathing. Call in to HQ.
Did you say Zoe?
Sir, do you live here?
What the hell's wrong with her?
We're
Zoe!
here to help. So everything...
What in God's name have you done?
Sir. Whoa! Stop! Stop!
Oh my goodness. Zoe. What the hell do they do to you?
The man that found Zoe and the Blue Umbrella troops was Joe Baker, the older brother of Jack Baker. He had a deep love for his brother and his family and would do anything to save Zoe. But Joe preferred living a solitary, off-the-grid lifestyle out in the peaceful wilderness of the bayou. For those last 3 years, he had no idea about the tragedy his family was enduring just miles away. In the last couple of weeks, Blue Umbrella developed a cure for the mold infection based on the information provided by Ethan and Mia. They were on the way to get her treatment when Joe intervened. When he realized his mistake, Joe set out to find the cure himself after the soldier told him where it was located in a nearby shack.
There's a cure.
You're lying to me.
I'm not lying. I'm not lying. We were on our way to get her treatment, and you fucked that up when you jumped us. They're probably still waiting for us right now.
Just in case he was lying, Joe kept him tied up. Joe had no trust in soldiers appearing in his home with gunships, just after monsters started showing up regularly on the property. But he had no fear setting out on his own. Joe Baker was a survivor. Like his brother, they both served in the U.S. military as young men, and Joe was proficient in hand-to-hand combat, regularly practicing his boxing skills on his free time and surviving against the molded and mold-infected gators. When he arrived in the shack, he found a Blue Umbrella soldier holding part of the cure. The man was already dead, and his body was taken over by mold. Joe returned to his home with the cure and injected Zoe with it, hoping that it would work.
All right, now just let it work.
It won't be enough. She needs a full dose to heal completely. There's more at our base. Just untie me, and I'll take you there. Please!
What base? Shit. Gotta get Zoe out of here.
A new threat had emerged in the last couple of weeks, killing Blue Umbrella soldiers and attacking their outposts. A monster nicknamed by Blue Umbrella as the Swamp Man. He would show up, destroy everything, and disappear back into the swamp. Joe took Zoe on his boat to keep her away from him, The infection in her body was slowed, but the full cure still required another dose that would surely be found in one of Blue Umbrella's outposts. Joe eventually was able to manufacture the second half of the cure in a Blue Umbrella machine found on a boat, but the Swamp Man followed him.
This is it. Take this! Like that? You got it! That's how you get it done! Woo!
Joe's exceptional fighting skills won the day. The Swamp Man lay defeated, not moving, and Joe had no time to ensure that he was truly dead. He had to get the cure to Zoe as quickly as possible. His niece was running out of time, and for some reason the Swamp Man had an obsession with his niece. He had to follow the Swamp Man's trail if he wanted to save her and end him permanently. It was obvious the creature would never stop as long as it remained alive.
It's a goddamn sacrilege. Jack? What the fuck? God damn it, Jack! Don't you remember your brother? Don't do it! Don't you touch her! Jack! Let me the fuck out of here! I'm your family! How the fuck can you do this to me? Get me the fuck out of here, Jack!
The realization hit Joe that his brother was the Swamp Man. What had happened to his family while he was living on his own? The mutation in Jack was so advanced and far gone that when Ethan injected the cure into him, in their final encounter, Jack's cells were poisoned, and he merged with the elements of the swamp. His new form was almost invincible, but his regeneration capabilities were reaching their limits. Joe found himself outside the Baker home, where Jack took Zoe, perhaps a small piece of himself remembering who he was before becoming the Swamp Man. Blue Umbrella choppers swarmed overhead the Baker home, barriers were built all around it, and Blue Umbrella equipment scattered the property. One of those pieces of equipment would make Joe Baker an almost unstoppable threat.
What the hell is this? One of their fancy toys?
Ready for use.
Blue Umbrella's advanced multi-purpose gauntlet, the AMG-78. The gauntlet was designed to assist in carrying heavy equipment. Internally, the technology was an advanced piece of robotics beyond imagination, syncing with the user's nerve impulses and generating energy output accordingly when charged. Equipped with shock absorbers, it ensured a full-powered impact would have no recoil. A weapon like this, combined with Joe's already immense fighting abilities, would provide a true final challenge for Jack Baker.
Zoe! Zoe! Zoe, wake up! Wake up!
Charging. Charge complete.
In the end, Jack Baker's body could no longer regenerate and was finally, truly dead. Joe and Zoe were the only remaining survivors of the Baker family, and Ethan kept his promise to send help. Although the Baker family nightmare was over, the legacy of Mother Miranda and Evie would throw Ethan's life into turmoil again, soon enough. For now, Ethan was a hero, and Zoe would embark on her new life after being a prisoner of Evie for 3 years, ending the events of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Get your hands up! Get down!
Weapons down! Weapons down! It's all right. You must be Zoe Baker.
Who the hell's asking?
Chris Redfield. Been looking all over for you. We're here to help.
You're gonna be just fine.
I was trapped with those monsters for 3 years. All of them trying to kill me. I can't believe it's finally over.
You gotta know. Deep down somewhere, they were still your family. And they loved you. Especially your daddy. Even in his final days.
We found her. She's a tough kid. Of course. Hang on. Someone wants to speak to you.
Zoe. Zoe, are you there?
It's you. I don't believe it. You actually made it.
We both did.
You didn't forget about me.
I told you I'd send help. And I always keep my promises.
Thank you, Ethan.
And if you'd like to support my work, I invite you to become a patron so you can get access to my Patreon feed, filled with exclusive updates and progress reports on videos. There's multiple levels of support available. You can also choose to become a channel member and gain access to exclusive polls deciding what games are going to be streamed, moderator privileges, badges, emojis for live chat. Every dollar helps keep the channel grinding away, and I'd like to thank my current patrons and channel members for their continued support. If you enjoyed the video, hit like, subscribe, and click on the bell for all notifications. Make sure you follow me on social media so you never miss a thing. Catch you guys later.